What's up, guys? Today I want to talk real quick, kind of, about the 3 factors that go into our sword strikes. Okay? So they break down into my angle of attack, my target, and the intent of my attack. So those 3 things, they factor together to how we impact our target, whether or not we're actually going to move our target. Those 3 things build everything about our strikes. So we'll start with just that angle of attack, because you guys have already started learning that, and then we'll look at the other 2 in just a minute. All right, guys, so the first thing we want to look at is our angle of attack. That is when you look at these different strikes, these 5 different strikes. So this kiri otoshi, so this dropping downward strike, these kesagiri diagonal strikes, these kiri age upward diagonal strikes, and the dogiri body strikes, and then finally that ski thrust. So those angles tell us how we're attacking. So if all I have is Bob's torso right here, our kiri otoshi drops straight down from head to toes all the way through. Our kesagiris come in at about the collarbone and come out at about the hips, making a big X on our target. Dogiri comes across that belly. We can even come across that neck, but that's getting into our targeting. And then ski goes straight through your target, and kirisage comes up from the hip to the shoulders. We can take that spider web of strikes and move them to any individual target. So again, kiri otoshi to the head, kesagiri to the head, dogiri to the head. We can ski to the head. We can kiri age to the head. All of those strikes can target virtually every part of the body. Okay? So that breaks down the angle of our cut. Practice those. You'll notice that they will make like a spider web depending on where you put them. Great way to practice that. If you've got a bob, it's beautiful. If not, get yourself in front of a mirror, and then your reflection becomes your target. All right, practice those, and we'll look at something else next. Now I want to talk about targeting. We've got those 5 primary angles of attack. Now we want to look at targeting. So our primary targets of attack are going to be the head. So men, if it's coming down from the top, yoko men, if it's coming from the side. Okay? Then we have the body, or do. So that's anything from shoulders to hips. That can be my belly, that can be my chest, that can be my back. That's all referenced as do. We have kote, which is elbows to wrists. This whole lower part of my arm. That way I can cut that hand off. Really hard to hold a sword if you're carrying, if you have no hand. Then we have tare, which is our thighs, looking to hit the arteries in there, looking to impact these bones, make the body move. And then we have the more tiny targets, something like maybe the feet, maybe an individual body part such as the eyes, the throat, the mouth. These are the targets we're looking at. So if I have Bob, we can rename, we can write a sentence with our strikes in order to tell us where we're striking. So if I say I'm going to strike yoko men with kesagiri, that means I'm going to hit the side of the head with that downward diagonal strike. So yoko men from kesagiri, or kesagiri at yoko men. Okay? We can say ski to men. That's going to be that thrust straight towards the center of that head. Okay? We can say dogiri to the do. Right through there. That's that body shot. Okay? So keep that in mind. The target determines how the body moves. If I'm going to do kiri otoshi, that dropping cut, and I'm targeting Bob's wrists, imagine he has wrists for a second. It's the same motion, but the targeting is different because I'm targeting the hands that are in front of his body in order to make that cut. Whereas Kenjutsu for men is deeper and has a different target. I can even do Kenjutsu to the go by cutting down on this collarbone. Boom. All right. So now with a partner, have them. They can stand here. They can stand. I like it when they stand in Seigan. That way they look like they're in a fighting position, and you can start targeting individual body parts. Grab a partner, grab a bob, practice all of those cuts against all of those targets, and see how that feels. I want to look at the intention of our cuts. So by intention, I mean how my weapon is traveling through my opponent's body. If you're just starting out, I want you to focus on this first intention 100%. It'll get you your body mechanics good, and it will help you avoid some of the common mistakes as you go forward. So this first intention is cutting straight through my target. So the blade has a certain geometry, so my blade is here. When I say cutting through my target, I mean literally my target is coming in and there's no change to the vector of the knife or to the vector of the blade. It simply comes straight through, okay? So the benefit of this is this gonna cut through the target whenever you hit. If it's unarmored, you'll go straight through that body part. If it is armored, we'll be able to move it. So wooden sword, rubber person, when I hit Bob with the intention to cut through him, watch what happens to his body. Notice that it moves his body no matter how I strike with the intention to cut through, okay? That means that when I hit, if I'm hitting a human body, let's say I hit the collarbone, their body should have that force going straight into them, causing that backwards and rotation. That's, again, the very first one I want you to learn because it's super important for almost everything that we do with the sword. The second intention is what we call a drawing cut. This is what you're going to see in a lot of like samurai movies where they hit and then they draw that sword out and the blood goes flying everywhere. So for a drawing cut, someplace other than the cutting edge hits, and then you draw it across, almost like you're sawing your target. There's a few kata that we had that focus on this, but for right now, let's look at exactly how it goes. So if I'm cutting low to high, and I'm here, and I realize I didn't have the intention to cut through it, but I want to keep moving to get away from his sword, it impacts, and then I keep moving so that the sword draws a line along the edge. That's gonna be really in close stuff. I gotta get out of there. Maybe I impacted it wrong and I realize, oh shoot, my sword is stuck. Slide it out. All right, so now the next one is the opposite of that. So this is gonna be a pushing cut. My sword impacts and then I push, so I'm cutting down the length of my blade. This is really good if I've impacted and maybe I've gotten stuck or I haven't moved them. So now I shift my way forward and the sword cuts through. Okay? Boom, cuts through. Boom, cuts through. I like it best when I've stunned them or I've stopped their motion, but I realize if I don't move again, they're gonna cut me again. So I simply thrust it through them. As a single motion going through them, I know I have to. It's almost like a J motion with my cut. Down and project. Boom. That way it impacts, it pushes down the length of the blade, makes the cut even bigger. All right, so now the last one is almost specifically with thrusts, but you can do it with cuts as well. This is a twisting motion. So I'm here, this is my basic cutting through action. I can basic cut through here. Now, let's say you're cutting down on me, but I want to be able to shield and still cut. So now you see that there's a spiral motion with that cut. I'm in this thrusting position. You'll see my sword travels a circle to get where it needs to go. The point of this is to be able to get around my opponent's sword. If Bob had a sword straight out and Seigan, I want to come around it. Boom. There's that spiral cut. Boom. There's a spiral cut. Boom. There are certain kama that really lend itself to that just because of how they're set up. But you'll notice that as I do this spiral thrust, my hands literally roll over to adjust my line of attack. All right, so those are all of our intentions. Cutting through, drawing, pushing, and spiraling. Take your time, adding that to your cutting angle, adding that to your target will give you a whole lot of different variations to practice and play with. Mastery comes slowly. Practice them all. Practice on a bob. Practice on a friendly target. Have fun with it, and I'll see you on the mats.